I'm about to say something that sounds like so incredibly backwards, you're not really gonna believe me, and that's okay, we can talk about it in the comments. But you kinda gotta trust me on this one. Stop judging your own work. I know, a lot of you are gonna say, oh, but how do I get better if I don't judge my own work? But I have an answer for you. There are so many ways that you will get better. In fact, I bet you will get better faster if you stop judging your own work than you would if you were judging it. And here's why. Judging your own work doesn't actually do anything for you. And by that I mean, by trying to say if something is good or bad, it doesn't really make sense since most things are subjective. I try and think of things in a way more objective fashion. So I'll just ask myself, what were you trying to do? And did you accomplish what you were after? Yes or no? Let's say I'm trying to make a sour candy, but instead I've accidentally made the mistake of making a sweet candy. Well, guess what? My mistake has just turned into double the results. So when I could have judged myself and say, oh no, I failed. I made a really bad sour candy. I would say, no you didn't. You just made sweet candy. Try again. Oh, second time I made spicy candy. Third time I made salty candy. And then on the last try, I nail the recipe and I get sour candy. Well, guess what? You just learned how to make all these other candies that you would have otherwise not known how to make. So I don't think about things in terms of judging it. I just think for every time that I make a mistake, I've really just learned a lot of separate things. Because now you never know when someone may say, hey, do you know how to make sweet candy? And it's like, you know what? I do. I learned it when I failed to make sour candy. This concept applies to everything. So I'm always just thinking, you have to make mistakes and then just grow and move through them. One of the best teachers I ever had, Dr. Scott Cowan at Western Michigan University, changed my life. He was like, you can't simultaneously create and edit at the same time. I think about this every day. And all it really means is just get out of your own way and just be creative, get your ideas out. Don't judge yourself in the middle of your process. Never get in your own way. When I finally stopped judging myself, all of a sudden people thought I got way better, like overnight. They're like, why do you sound so good? And I figured out that I finally just stopped judging myself. Actually, this goes along really nicely with this idea I have about being prolific, which I'll make a video on. But basically the idea is, instead of just sitting around judging yourself, thinking, oh, it's good or it's bad or whatever, it doesn't matter, because everyone's gonna have different opinions of your work anyway, and you're gonna have different opinions depending on the day. It's really silly. You could have moved on and made something else. Like, why are you getting stuck in the past, right? So while you were busy judging yourself, you could have made 50 new things that were all of equal value or better and had way more learning experiences and then had more product to show for it. And when you present yourself or your product or your art or your craft to someone else, don't say things like, oh, it's not that good, or oh, it's the best thing you've ever seen, or it could be better. Don't say anything. Let your work speak for itself. Because honestly, it's disrespectful and rude to your audience. By judging your work for someone else, you've just patronized them. You're basically assuming that this other person doesn't have their own ideas and aren't capable of interpreting things for themselves. When you present your work to someone, assume that they have their own ideas, expertise, and opinions. They don't need yours. And you may accidentally convince someone who is gonna love your work not to. So even though I may have been trying to make sour candy, when I deliver it, it may taste sweet to someone else, but they might love that. That's none of my business. As long as you like it and you want to buy it, cool with me. So keep your opinions to yourself. Unless someone asks you for them, then by all means go for it. Just don't ruin the experience for others. You're just shooting yourself in the foot. And even though you may not be moved by your own work, it may be exactly what someone else needed to see or hear that day. You never know how it's going to affect somebody. Maybe someone's going through a really hard time and that song you wrote or that art you made or that idea you had could save someone's life. But you didn't put it out there because you judged yourself. And you would have been wrong. Don't do that. Look, Star Wars can spend $8 billion making a movie, and some people are going to love it and some people are going to hate it. The people who made the Blair Witch Project could spend $10 making a movie, and some people are going to love it and some people are going to hate it. So who cares? Do your best, make your art, put out your product, whatever it is, and have fun. So for those of us in the performing arts, just remember, like, you could be performing and the audience is loving everything that you're doing, but then all of a sudden you start judging yourself, and now you've disconnected yourself from those people. So now what you were doing that was working was going great, but maybe you did something a little off or make a mistake. And now all of a sudden you start making more mistakes. You stop doing that thing that you were doing that was working, because now you're missing the bigger picture. Again, judging yourself isn't helping the situation. Just stay connected to the moment. You'll be good. So look, I understand. This is something I'm constantly working on and constantly trying to be aware of. Like, it always wants to creep in. But judging your own work, as logical as it may seem, is actually counterproductive. And if you're not 100% pleased with your work, that's okay. Like, do better next time, or go back and do something different, do something else. But don't think of it as good and bad. Just think about it as, did I hit my mark or no? And that's it. It's as simple as that. So that's what we got for today. My name is Randy Gist. If you like this kind of content, please subscribe to the channel, like the video. You guys know how to do it. It's 2020. Follow me on Instagram at RandroidMusic. And hey, if you got any thoughts on how judgment affects your work, write it in the comments. Let's talk about it. Let's help some people figure it out. But my take on it is, stop judging yourself and go out and create.